Hi guys, this is Ratchet and we are playing Criminal Case, City of Romance. And we are going to case number 9. We are actually going to the airport to catch animal smugglers. At Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. So here we are at the airport, Katerina. It's crazy to think that the last time I was here was when I arrived from LA. So much has happened since then. I made close friends with the team and even found my brother. But anyway, enough reminiscing. We're here to intercept flight MZA-142 from Mazunda, which is due to land any second now. According to Fabrice Dufour, owner of the Voyeur Peep Show, the flight is carrying a bunch of smuggled animals. Mr. Dufour was supposed to hand over a briefcase full of money in exchange for the animals. But instead, we'll be there to save the poor fur babies and arrest the culprit. Corp Katarina, our flight just landed. Let's get over there. Okay. Pistol ready. Brigadier Bonnet and her officers have secured the plane, Katarina. Let's check all the passengers have disembarked before we scope out the cargo hold. Then we... Did you hear that scream, Katarina? It came from inside the plane. We need to head inside and see what's going on. Okay. Alright, are you the guy we needed to arrest but you died? Glass stuck in your head, and that's how you died. Katrina, this man is dead. He's been stabbed in the eye with a champagne flute. Daddy, please wake up. Oh. Oh goodness, where did you come from? You say this man is your father? My name is Grace Udoka, and that's my daddy, Chidi. Okay, sweetie, let's take you outside. Our colleagues will look after you while we look around, and then I'm afraid we'll have to ask you some questions. That poor girl, Katerina. She's too young to have witnessed something so awful. We owe it to her to find her father's killer. Judging by the size of this private suite, Mr. Udoka was some kind of a big shot. Let's see what we can find out about him online. And I wonder, how did you earn so much money? Looks like he's a businessman, and a successful one at that. Apparently, he made his fortune exporting Mazundan coffee. I don't think so. Maybe there's something else involved. Maybe putting together those plastic pieces will shed some light on what happened here. Corporal Katarina, I got bad news. We searched the hold and there is no sign of any animals. How? What? But we know for a fact that they were on this flight. Sorry, Corporal Katarina. Some of us have got here before us. Or maybe they're hidden somewhere where we can't see animals. But I do have some good news. We managed to round up all the passengers that were on this flight. We're keeping them in a holding room. Looks like our investigation into animal smuggling will have to take a back seat, Katarina. Because before we can question our suspects about it, we need to discover if one of them committed murder. Should we start by putting together those plastic pieces, or talking to the victim's daughter? I will start by collecting stars and then go for everything else. So, how did you die? You died in some unusual way, if I should say it like that. Katarina, I've been thinking, isn't it crazy how we spend all our lives working for Buddy without knowing if we'll live long enough to spend our savings? Thanks to Paris rental prices, I haven't got any savings. But let's talk about our victim. What can you tell us about the murder? Katarina's assessment that the victim was killed by a puncture wound to the eye was correct. And after closer examination of the glass lodged in his eye, I can confirm that it was a broken champagne flute. That's your murder weapon, Katarina. What's more, on the stem of the glass I found traces of groundnut catfish mafe, a traditional fish and peanut curry from Mazunda. And since I discovered that your victim famously claimed in an interview that he'd never eat such peasant food, it must be your killer who eats Mazundan mafe. So our killer enjoys Mazundan mafe, do they? They bit off more than they could chew when they committed murder. So somebody just broke a champagne flute and just stabbed you in the head, into the eye, and you died. Okay, let's restore this. Pilot license. Oh. This pilot license belongs to a Captain Jella Mabwe. I wonder how her license ended up in the victim's private suite, Katarina. Let's see what Captain Mabwe has to say about the murder taking place on her flight. Okay. Alright, let's go talk to the little girl first. Grace, Katrina and I have some questions for you. You can ask us to stop at any time, okay? Am I in trouble? Not at all. We just want to get to the bottom of what happened to your father. Did you see who attacked him? No, Daddy always works during flights, but being on a plane makes me feel kinda sick. So I went to the bar to get a soda for my tummy, and I stayed there watching videos on Kikok. I went to go get Daddy when we landed, and that's when I found him. We're so sorry for your loss, Grace. Our colleague is going to look after you while we find out who did this, okay? Katrina, Mr. Doko was obviously killed mid-flight, and that means one of the passengers or crew did it. I suggest we take a look around that bar Grace mentioned for clues. Okay. Alright, let's talk to the pilot now. Officers, what's this all about? My passengers and I have been detained, but nobody will tell me what's going on. There's been a murder on your flight, Captain, and Mr. Chidi Udoka is dead. What? Mr. Udoka is dead? This is terrible. The man is a household name back home in Mazunda, and he died on my flight? Management is going to be furious. Mr. Udoka was one of Air Mazunda's most frequent flyers. It was his first time flying with me, too. He seemed like a nice man. He even took the time to visit the cockpit and introduce himself. We found your pilot license in his private suite. How did it end up there? I must have dropped it while I was inspecting the plane before the flight. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to let management know what's happened. Okay. Let's go investigate the bar. Very expensive looking plane and a bar. Something that normal people like me can't afford. Whoa, how swanky is this, Katerina? It's nicer than half the bars in Paris. Nice catch, that's our victim on the front cover of that magazine. Can you vacuum up some of those shavings to reveal the rest? And recovering the name of that cocktail shaker might tell us who was working the bar. As for those cushions, let's give them a quick search to see if they are hiding anything. Yes. Let's dust it. Who drew a cape? Are you a hero to someone? Growing those flakes revealed that someone drew a cape around the victim of this magazine cover, Katerina. Clearly someone on the flight was a fan of Mr. Udoka. Putting those flakes under the microscope might tell us who our mystery artist is. Okay. Alright, now let's see. Who worked in the bar during the flight? I think I know this name. The name of this cocktail shaker is T. Wanjiku. This T. Wanjiku must be the flight attendant who worked the bar, Katerina. Let's see if they know anything about the murder. I know who you are. I met you back in Grimsboro, in Conspiracy. Alright, let's look through the cushions now. Oh, what have I done? With blood splatter. Katerina, there was a note hidden among those cushions. It says, "What have I done?" And there's a blood splatter next to it. If the killer might have written this note, then we'd better get it to the High Commissioner for analysis. Oh, you feel sorry for putting the broken glass in the man's eye? Then what was the killing for? Rage? Okay, let's analyze these flakes. Drawing pencils. And who uses these? These flakes you collected from the magazine cover are pencil shavings, Katerina. More specifically, shavings from special crayons designed for drawing comics. Oh, I was thinking about comics. We met a Mazunda national with a penchant for drawing comics during our investigation into Marguerite D'Anjos's murder. Prince Amadou. Yeah, him. We better go check whether Prince Amadou is among the passengers, Katerina. So you came back, huh? Okay, let's go talk to Wanjiku first. Miss Wanjiku, were you aware of a Mr. Udoka traveling on your flight? Of course, I memorized the passenger manifest before each flight. Passengers love being addressed by name. That's a tip I picked up back when I was a bartender in the US. Always learn who your regulars are. Yeah, Unfortunately, Mr. Udoka assumed that me knowing who he was meant that he could jump the queue and get served first. But I don't stand for any nonsense, Katrina. I told him that I treat all passengers equally and that he'd have to wait for his glass of champagne. Miss Vanjiku, what would you say if we told you that Mr. Udoka was murdered with a glass mid-flight? Murdered? I say that I know nothing about it. Thank you for your time, Miss Vanjiku. We may have more questions for you later. Hello, we meet again, dude. Hey, Katrina. Fancy running into you here. Are you off on vacation? Me? I'm back in Paris for good. I got accepted to college and everything. Good for you. We're actually investigating the murder of Chidi Udoka. We believe he was on your flight. Holy cow, Mr. Udoka is dead? You knew the victim, Your Highness? Sure, everyone in Mazunda has heard of Mr. Udoka. If I weren't a prince, I'd have loved to become a hotshot businessman like him. If I see him on the flight, I have introduced myself. But I had my nose buried in a dirty a textbook. Okay. Did the killer leave something on the paper bag? Hello there, Katrina. I'm racking my brain for ideas for a present for Gautier's birthday tomorrow. Have you got any suggestions? Oh, is his birthday tomorrow? Well, question should be, what does he like? Well, I did overhear him say that he had his eye on a fancy new filling cabinet. I won't buy him anything of the sort. The boy needs to learn that there's a life outside of work. Anyway, I suppose you want to hear about that note you sent me, eh? First things first, Enzo confirmed that the blood was your victim's, which means that the note was written by your killer. They clearly feel remorse for their crimes. Unfortunately, the handwriting was too wobbly for me to ascertain anything about their personality. But it is a sign that they weren't feeling well when they wrote it. And I know why. The note was written on their air sickness bag. Your killer must be a sufferer. Oh. Well, there's no chance our killer will suffer from air sickness in prison. And you're right, Katrina. The victim's daughter says she had air sickness during the flight. I refuse to believe she could be responsible for such a crime, but I'll add it to her profile. Jet lag. Katrina, we came to the airport to intercept a flight from Mazunda that was transporting smuggled animals. But we were too late. Someone managed to get them off the flight before we could get access. And now we've been waylaid by a murder. Mazunda billionaire Chidi Udoka was stabbed in the eye with a broken champagne glass during the flight, which means one of the crew or passengers is responsible. His twin daughter, Grace Udoka, is understandably shaken. Brigadier Bonnet is keeping an eye on her while we investigate. We also crossed paths with Prince Amado, who seemed to idolize the businessman but claimed not to have seen him on the flight. And then there's a flight attendant, Tamu Wanjiku. She told us that the victim had a bad attitude, but that she put him in his place. Now, I suggest... Look, there's the murder plane! Oh come on, what are you doing, Deke? What are you doing here? Get snapping! We might catch a shot of the body. Body was moved in the morgue. There's no body at all. Jeez, now I gotta deal with paparazzi. Alright, we gotta stop here. We gotta continue playing in chapter 2. So, thank you for watching. Don't leave a like to this video, and I'll see you again. Goodbye!